Welcome to this channel. This is Intimacy with Sergio. I am Sergio, and I want to share in this first video more about my story, about who I am, why I ended up talking about intimacy online, and why it's important to me, why I think it's one of the most important things that a human can master and can dedicate time to learn and go deeper into. So, where to start from? My story with intimacy has been difficult, especially starting from sexuality. That was a big black box for me for so long. And yeah, I had some early difficult experiences that made me be very worried about getting sexually intimate with a woman. And somehow I carried this in teenage years, in adulthood, and to the point that I was virgin until I was 24, 25. And as you can see, I'm not like a ugly dude. Okay, no hair, but you know, it's okay. So it's not that I didn't have chances, it was more that I was so scared of being confronted with these deep insecurities that I didn't allow myself to even be close to those situations. And this carried for so long, for many years. And there was a time when I was around 25 years old that I had a burnout. I was traveling for 9 months. It was my first solo long trip, and at some point I burned out. It was too much. I couldn't handle. And in this whole process of burnout with panic attacks, I started going to therapy. And I was zero unaware of connecting to my body, of emotions. This was totally like a known world to me. And through this burnout, all this came to the surface. So much came to the surface. So many repressed things, feelings came to the surface. And I started going to therapy. I started meditating. I started to realize a new dimension within myself that I never knew existed, or at least I didn't remember. When I was a kid, I would say I was very connected to myself. I was very alive, very playful, very energetic. But somewhere 12, 13 teenage years, somehow I started to try to be someone that I'm not, and try to conform. I started worrying more about what people would think about me, how to fit in boxes. And yeah, that was the beginning of the end in a way. That felt like a downhill process that it rocked bottom with this burnout at 25. And from there it came again like okay, upwards, like okay, who am I? Who am I? Why am I doing things I don't feel like doing? Why am I trying to please others? Etc, etc. And during this burnout and the meditation and all this, what came up was a big repression and big wrongness about sexuality. I made sexuality, my desires, myself for having those desires really wrong. Like there is something really wrong with me for all this. And then I started realizing like, okay, this is, because until then I thought a miracle would happen. One day I would find a woman that I would feel great with, and things would flow, sexuality would flow, and this will be solved. And that never happened, of course, never happened. And then I realized, like, okay, I need to do something about it. And I was feeling very ashamed of this whole thing, like talking in therapy. That was the first time I shared about this topic. For 7 years, I kept all a secret by myself. I didn't share with my friends, I didn't share with my parents, I didn't share with anyone. And that was a pressure pot that eventually, of course, exploded. And then I thought, okay, I was already in the spiritual journey, meditating. I had to tap into some other states of mind. Cool stuff, cool stuff. And then I thought, okay, I had heard of Tantra. I had heard that there was a space where I could put some light on this part of myself, and I jumped into it. I was like, okay, let's go for that. And the first Tantra training I did, shamanic and Tantra, was with ISTA, International School of Temple Arts in Croatia, about 7 years ago. That blew my mind. That revolutionized my understanding of connection with others, of what's possible, of the level of intimacy that it's possible with another person, be it a woman or a man. Also made me see how much conditioning, how much labels I had of what's possible and what's not possible, if it's a man, if it's a woman, if it's a friend, if it's a teacher, if it's a whatever, like this whole thing, and how much aliveness and eros I was suppressing because of all this. Mostly it was fear, like it was in my body, stagnant fear blocks that prevented me to feel this juice of life, like this wonderful, amazing aliveness that we all carry within. And that was the beginning of this journey. And at the beginning it was very difficult. It was really difficult. I felt so ashamed. I'm from Spain, Catholic, not very strict Catholic family, but Catholic context. And I feel that made that was very present in my upbringing. The shame around nudity, being naked around others, the desires of wanting to see others naked, and repressing them, or like, oh, there's something wrong with it. Like, bad kid, you don't see naked people. You don't want to see pussies and cocks or all the stuff. So all that thing was there. It was there. So I remember it was a very deep challenge at the beginning. I was very tense. Of course, it was truly out of my comfort zone. I was very tense. I was very numb. I didn't have the capacity to actually feel my body's yes, no's, maybes. It was like, okay, I just do this. And at the same time, it was like mind-blowing, amazing. I knew like, this is my purpose somehow. Like, I felt so at home at the same time in love temples, in spaces where everything was welcome, eros was welcome, there was nothing wrong about it. And since then, I kept exploring, I kept doing that. I kept owning some pieces. I connected with some dark parts of myself, like very deep rage, hatred toward my parents, that at the end of the day was love that wasn't met, that became stagnant and hatred. But it was really potential of love. And with all this, meeting all these parts, it brought more lightness to myself. I felt more light, more comfortable in my skin, more safe to be me, more happy to be me. And this has been my journey for the last years. I'm officially an engineer, so for some people that know me from that time might think like, what is this guy doing here? What's happening? And I get it. I have this mental, precise part also. Maybe it's Virgo, who knows, I don't know. At some point I felt I was missing the human connection. I was working in a laboratory in research and development in Netherlands. I was already in this journey of awakening, of self-realization. And at some point I realized, like, I miss the human connection, I miss the human part. Like, this feels too dry. This feels too boxed, Where is the space for aliveness, for joy, for exploration. And of course, there are companies and companies. But in general, I think you might agree that the corporate world, rules, 9 to 5, are environments with some tightness. Yeah. And at some point I decided to quit. That was like 3 years ago. I had an insight in one retreat to go nomad, to become nomad, travel. And I was scared because the previous time I tried to be nomad, I burned out. I was like, okay, wow, all this time happened the same. What will happen? Now it's 3 years, no burnout. I feel better than ever. I feel I'm thriving. And yeah, now my biggest joy is to share these teachings, create these spaces where people can exhale somehow, relax, connect to their soul. It's somehow to bring these spaces that are not in our daily routines in most of us, no? Like when we go to the supermarket, we go to work, we take the kids to school, and as an adult there is little space for play. There is little space for deep inquiries, like what do I really want in my life? What do I dream? What's my deepest longing? What am I here for in this life? These questions are important and very important. And I have a feeling that most people don't ask these questions. They go through life not asking these questions. And it's a pity because life, I mean, I've experienced life being very dry and on the outside looking like this guy is doing well, there is success, he's on the right track, and inside feeling so disturbed, like so agitated, so not clear, so like what, so chaos, so a lot. And now knowing that it's possible to feel light, of course I have my days, it's not that I'm enlightened or something like that, far from that. But wow, you know, it's a life where I have agency, I have sovereignty, I feel like I can choose, I can decide about my next steps. I pursue my dreams, I do things that I feel super excited about. I was taking a shower before here and I was feeling so excited. I felt like I was appearing on TV. It's like, oh my god, I'm gonna be on TV. You know, these kind of things, for me, it was worth living for. Like these little moments of joy, of aliveness and passion, and I think this is my big purpose, no? Like I would like to see a world where people thrive, where people are on fire, where they are following their dreams. And the world that would be created if we would all coming from that and playing for that, I think it would be just mind-blowing. I think it would be something we cannot even think of. Yeah, this is what I'm here for, and what I do is I help people through coaching to live this life, to bring this aliveness to their life, to pursue their dreams, and also help people with intimacy and these challenges of connecting with others, staying in the surface, commitment, etc., which I'm doing myself. I'm working myself, so I know the drill, and that's why I feel entitled to support others in this. And yeah, above all, also create spaces for the soul to exhale, for the soul to say like, I'm home, here there is space for me. If you have any question, if you want to work with me, if you want to have a chat, wherever, I'm open, I'm available, and you can tell me in comments. I've also put some links below of my socials, so welcome to follow me there. And yeah, this is the first video. I'm super excited. Yeah, I can't wait to see where this will unfold and what will come up out of this little YouTube adventure. Thank you so much. See you.